Thinking about moving abroad with your teen, I get it. It's exciting on paper. I did it. I moved abroad with my daughter when she was only 14. She's about to be 18 now. But moving abroad with a Black child is a whole other ballgame. From culture shocks to school stress to even new forms of racism that can really hit your child harder than expected. But here's some good news for you. You can make this transition a lot more smoother. I'm sharing everything that I wish I knew before I moved abroad with my teenager daughter to help better prepare her. I'm going to share with you things that not only helped her survive, but is now allowing her to thrive as a young adult while living abroad. From emotional prep to school strategies to handling tough situations like fitting in, stereotypes, we're going to talk about it. So, leaving behind familiarity. When we move abroad with our teens, we're not just packing our teens up in a bag and just moving abroad. They're actually losing their surroundings, their family, a routine, and that can seem like the end of the world to them. You will notice differences in their moods, their attitudes. They might actually be a lot more emotional or even angry. Now that they're giving away their old life and embracing a new one. Talk to your teen and let them know that they're heard and understood. You can always plan a going away party, a dinner, anything of that sort where they can take pictures. They can talk about new ways of how they're going to stay in communication with their friends and loved ones. And once they are abroad, encourage that communication. We live in the age of a digital world where you can communicate via Facebook, Messenger, Twitter, WhatsApp, even the post office. You can mail letters. Let them bring some comforting items with them, whether it's a hoodie, a stuffed animal, some posters that are off their wall, anything to make them feel home away from home. Reassure them that with time and support that they can create their own new sense of normal. Struggling to fit in. Starting over in a new school can be super overwhelming. I put my daughter in a Portuguese private school. She was the only American in that school at the time. And not only was it not taught in any English, it was taught in Portuguese. All her books were in Portuguese, and she had to use Google Translate to translate her studies. And she had one-on-one Portuguese lessons. And also, majority of her teachers did not speak English at all. So this was something that my daughter had to overcome. Luckily, some of the students did speak English, so it was a little bit helpful for her to make some friends. But one of the things that she was concerned about is, would she stand out? When you move abroad, you don't know what the student body is going to look like. Is your child going to be the only Black or brown thing in the room? Are there other kids that look like them? These are one of the things that was really, really important to me. Some of the things that your child might face are ignorance and prejudice. Stereotypes like, you must be good at sports because you're Black, or why does your hair look like that? I know it's one of the things in the US that I personally cannot stand as a Black woman when non-Black people want to touch my hair or make comments like this. Teach your teen that their difference is a strength and not a weakness. You can also encourage them by taking baby steps, joining a sports club or an extracurricular activity. This way, they know that they're surrounded by other kids that share common interests. One of the things that I highly recommend are find other expat groups. If you are looking for other Black communities, definitely don't forget to check out my PDF that will be linked in the description, where there are hundreds of different Black and brown communities that you can reach out to. One of my daughter's closest friends, we met in Merida, and she actually just came out to Portugal and stayed a week, and they were ripping and running in Lisbon. And it was a great experience because when we moved abroad, my daughter didn't know anyone. It was just me and her. And then we started to go to these playgroups for single moms, and relationships developed from those. It's really, really important to let them know that fitting in does take time. And each day, building relationships is a process. So hang in there. Facing racism and stereotypes. So we were living in Portugal. Well, my daughter still lives in Portugal. I'm in between Portugal and Belgium right now. And racism abroad is in a different form than it is in the US. Yes, racism is alive and thriving all over the world. Some examples that could be invasive, like, can I touch your hair? Or they might be stereotyped as a cool dancer, the loud kid, an athlete. Or it could be just a racist joke or being treated like an outsider. Like, you speak English so well. This reminds me of going back to high school. I mean, I didn't live abroad in high school, but I remember some of the white kids would just be like, yeah, you speak so proper. I'm like, what does that even? I speak so proper? I speak so proper for a black girl? Like, what does that even mean? So I totally get it. Like, it's something that us as parents cannot avoid these experiences that our children may or may not have while living abroad. There might be times that they might have harsher discipline in school or ignored in the healthcare setting. I had a bad experience with Mackenzie in one of the hospitals in Portugal because the woman clearly did not like people of color or anything brown at that sort. And she literally was bullying my daughter behind the closed doors because she would not allow me to come in. And me being a foreigner, I'm not, used to all the rules. My daughter was getting a small procedure done. And I just had to wait in this little waiting area. But we need to teach our kids to advocate for ourselves. Thankfully, my daughter did speak up and, I handled what I need to handle at the hospital. But these are things that, we can't allow our kids to think like it's okay for anyone to talk to us like this, or it's not okay for people to make such comments. And sometimes these kids don't know. Sometimes they don't know because they never maybe seen a Black person before, or they're not being taught that you just can't say these things to people. Another thing I suggest is having these conversations beforehand. Open up the dialect to see where their mind is at, what they're thinking about. Even do some role playing, to see like how they can speak up or how it might make them feel. Also, research diversity, going to other countries such as European countries or Asian countries. What does the community look like out there? What are the kids looking like? Is there lots of racism or is it very minimized, like very microaggressions? Encourage your teens to join local support groups and remind them that their identity is powerful. Culture shock and well-being. Culture shock involves more than just new sights. It's the little things that will catch you off guard. Some challenges that your teen might expect are new social norms, personal space, politeness, bedside manner, language barriers, even understanding slang and humor can be a lot to handle. I know sometimes in other countries, even here in Europe, the way people talk, and I'm just like, are they whining? Are they mad at me? Are they angry? It's very hard to really tell sometimes because when you don't speak the language, you kind of like interpret what you think that they might be saying. And I know as Americans, if we're talking very loud and we're moving around or making like faces like this, it just seems like you're complaining, you're unhappy, and maybe you're just complaining about me. But that's not always the norm abroad. That's why it's really important to observe your surroundings. Talk to your child like, hey, we were out today. Did you notice this situation or did you notice that? It allows us to open our minds and really say, oh, wow, I did notice that. Is that normal? And then, of course, you can research on YouTube to see what are the customs and the norms in the new country that you're in. Different school schedules and teaching styles can be super overwhelming. I know my daughter, when she was in the Portuguese private school, they went to school later in the day, but also got out earlier. The other grades, they went in at different hours, so they all were not arriving at the same time. Also, at another school my daughter was at, BGA, it's kind of like you go to school whenever you want to go to school and you spend a few hours there and then you leave. So it's way different than the US. That is, you wake up like 6 o'clock in the morning, catch the bus at 6:45, and then you're at school by like 7. School starts at 7:30 and you're there to like 2:30, 3 o'clock. It's totally different. So these are some culture shocks that might be confusing to your teen, or they might actually enjoy not having to go in every day or having off every single bank holiday, which I find very funny in Portugal that they have a lot of holidays that your child will not be in school. All of this, make sure you normalize their feelings. Their feelings are very valid, and remind them that culture shock usually is just temporary. It's just when you get there, you're just like, oh my God, what is this? What am I experiencing right now? Encourage small steps. Maybe try some new food, maybe work on a few words a week, and most importantly, explore together. Teach them that adapting does not mean erasing who you are. Keep routines like family meals, dinners on Sunday, or cooking together really might help provide comfort while they're transitioning from life in the States to life abroad. Finding their new identity in a new environment. Moving abroad can trigger an identity crisis, especially for Black teens. Some challenges might be they're feeling like the foreigner or outsider with labels like the American or the Black kid. I even have to remind one of my Portuguese friends, stop calling me the American. Literally, just call me, I'm Heather, your friend. I'm not the American. Stereotypes like you don't act like other Black people I know. Which I find it amazing that, I don't know if amazing is the right word, but it's interesting that a lot of times that Europeans and even people from other countries base their perceptions of Black people off of the TV and music videos like hip hop and movies. And I'm just like, we are not all like that. Like, get that stereotype out your head. Like, we are not all like that at all. So, expect your child to maybe tell you these things that they thought we were one way, but we're completely opposite. Another pressure might be to tone down their identity from their natural hair to their dialect to their interests. These are things that make us us, and these are things that make your teen, and what makes us very unique. Racial dynamics might differ from hypervisibility to misunderstandings. Over time, your teen might develop a global identity, which might blend both of the cultures. And this, unfortunately, might cause confusion when you go back home to visit. Some support strategies are celebrate your culture together through food, music, and holidays. I know we love cooking and getting people together, so definitely celebrate. It's a great opportunity for conversation starters. Encourage them to define their own identity and embrace change. And lastly, connect with local expat groups for community support. Coping with homesickness and mental health. Homesickness can definitely hit hard after the excitement of moving fades. Some signs of homesickness that your teen might face are missing friends, family, activities that they're used to, feeling isolated because they're having a hard time making friends. They might have a decline in their mental health due to anxiety, depression, withdrawal, or even dropping grades. Some ways you can help them are normalize their feelings. Missing home is part of the process. This is just something that everyone goes through at some point in time, whether it's a small aspect of your life in the States or it could be a large aspect of your life in the States. Encourage regular contact with friends and family. A voice, a conversation, a memory can always help elevate the mind. Create new routines and traditions, such as maybe on Friday nights is we go watch a movie or we go check out a new food place. These are things that your teen can be excited for weekly. It's really important to watch out for mental health struggles and definitely seek medical attention if you see that your child's mental health is declining and suffering. There are many resources out there for you depending on where you are, but there's always someone that you can talk to professionally that can help your child. And lastly, don't forget to ask how they feel. You're not the only one moving. They're moving with you, even after the move. You guys are in this together. And at the end of the day, they may not see the big picture, why you wanted to move abroad. They may feel like we're the worst parents in the world. But when they think back, when they turn 18, 19, 20, or even 30s, they're going to say, wow, my parents, my mom, my dad, whoever made sure I had the best childhood ever. Growing up abroad outside of the States can be an amazing thing. New experiences for your child, memories, lifelong friendships with people that you would have never met at all in the US. So, moving abroad isn't easy. It's definitely full of challenges, especially when you're a teenager and you really don't have a say when your parents want to move abroad. But it's also an opportunity for incredible growth. My daughter went from a nervous, homesick teenager to a young adult that has a global mindset. Your teen can have that transformation too with the right mindset, patience, and guidance. Remember, you are not alone on this journey. Every move is a chance for you to grow as a family and create the life that expands your horizons. If this video helped you, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. If you are thinking about moving abroad with the teen, let me know what your biggest challenge is that you might think they have while adjusting to living abroad. I will catch you guys on the next video. Bye.
Okay, that's all.
Yeah.